And the topic for today is too many devices scaling to secure and manage xIoT. But before that, hey, James, what's been happening at the xIoT news desk?
Yeah, absolutely. This one's hits a little close to home for me because I'm obviously really into the home automation stuff. If something I'm buying has an app, I download the app inevitably and use it. I like having that kind of connectivity, but that always comes with a trade-off, right? It comes with a security and privacy trade-off that we have to constantly evaluate as people in the world today. And so the item I wanted to talk through today was a vulnerability that was recently disclosed by Kia, the car manufacturer, after an independent researcher had discovered a vulnerability in their remote connections to the Kia cars in the world. And it affected virtually any Kia in the marketplace that had that kind of remote connectivity. But Kia announced that basically the vulnerability has already been remediated, but it highlighted for me the inherent risk that we have associated with everything in our lives being IP enabled, right? In this case, what happened was an attacker was actually able to leverage or take advantage of the APIs that were used by Kia dealerships. And it would allow them to actually access the remote functions that all Kias are sold with now, right? So you could start the engine, unlock or lock the doors, or even accessing the internal and external cameras live as somebody's using the car, right? And so for me, that's like, hey, having somebody being able to access that's kind of scary. But there's kind of two things that came from that. One is the attacker really only needed access to a license plate. All they had to do is know the license plate number or a VIN number, which again you can see pretty easily on a car. But with that basic information, they were able to take advantage of a flaw in the APIs that dealerships use to register accounts. So what the attacker could do is literally register themselves as an authorized user on a person's account, which now exposes all of that person's personally identifiable information. But it also allows the attacker to go in there and access the car and change functions on the car. And for me, it was like, we always think about these IP enabled things, and we understand that there's risk associated with the fact that they're IP enabled, but we always think of the risk or the vulnerability or the flaw being on the device itself. But sometimes that the flaw is actually on the server infrastructure or the way a company decides to implement their APIs. And in this case, that's what happened, right? You didn't actually have to take advantage of the device itself, or in this case, the car. All you had to do is take advantage of the way the dealerships interacted with those cars. And so, do you have a smart car? Do you have something that might be remotely accessible?
Well, I drive a Tesla, so
there you go.
So you're always trying to worry about that because that is just a computer on wheels, in which case, the idea of somebody actually doing something to be able to either take over a function or to do something in the middle of driving is definitely scary. I always try to think about what is, I guess we always trying to balance the level of risk. How much risk is it? And what's the level of effort to kind of go through it and try to balance it out? I think it would be interesting for manufacturers, especially of devices like that, to start saying, here are your list of, cybersecurity checklists that you should have, and make sure you check these off to make sure that you continue to be secure. But you never know when there's going to be a bug in firmware.